Fixed.
What?
Gays can be fixed.
I know, but say for
There's
example,
nothing wrong with me. Why do I need to be
I didn't
fixed?
say you're fixed. I don't say you're gay.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm gay. There
Okay.
ain't nothing wrong with me.
No, that's something. What we're saying is your opinion based, right? It's not how you've made, is it?
what's the point?
If you're made, you'd be in your genes. But the fact that we know from twin studies that it's not a genetic thing, it's an epigenetic. So you are not something made to be how you are. If somebody now wants to have a sexual relationship with a tree, it's not because it's in their genes to have a relationship like that. It's how they have chose their sexual lifestyle. You can choose a lifestyle the way you want. But what we're saying is, God did not make you like that.
ما خاب من يبغي دوم الرضا مولاه ما خاب من يبغي دوم الرضا مولاه
Exactly 100% the way I want.
You can have an opinion. I don't get what you're saying. You want it to be run by a legislator.
If you want a country to run in all aspects of our life, how we interact, how we communicate, how we do business, right? How we drive our cars, we need laws in every aspect, right? Laws in everything. Rules, regulation, laws is important.
Well, yeah, but you, of course you need those things. But you need people.
Right.
Like, you only need.
Who should make them? You? Only you?
People.
Why not only you? 100% of it.
All of them?
Yeah.
I want to sleep at night time. I don't have enough time.
Okay. Suppose I want to make the laws and I want 100% of what I think is right to be implemented. Would you agree?
You're not skilled enough to do that.
So now you're saying the laws must come from skilled source.
Skilled and experienced.
Right.
You know, over time, rights. You know.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Skill, knowledge. Who knows most, God or people? God. The one who created you knows more than you. That is why we say we should have a system where the rules and regulations given to us from the mercy of God that we apply it. Why? Because it will be better for us, because He knows us most.
The idea of God.
Do you see?
It's a people's creation.
Excuse me. Do you see why it makes sense to believe in the laws of God rather than in the laws made by man? Because man is always limited and always not knowledgeable. They make mistakes. We always make mistakes.
You take the laws of God above like the laws of the land.
The laws of the land should be based on the laws of God, because that will be the best law.
But if they're not,
Look,
I mean, a lot of laws. I mean, everybody's got different religions and views.
Excuse me.
I reject those laws of God.
Thank you.
I'm just saying, like, there's different religious laws which would be in conflict with, the laws of the land or the local, whatever it is. So in that situation,
what I'm saying, in principle, the laws of the land, wherever it is in planet Earth, should be the laws of God, because that will be the best laws for human beings.
That's your opinion.
It's not an opinion. That is what will make sense. That is why we say
that would make sense to somebody who believes in God.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're saying the first question we're asking is, does God exist or not?
But obviously, yeah, but there's different people who believe in different types of God. So therefore, how are you going to resolve that issue?
Simple. Anyone who claims they have revelation from God, you examine it and you verify it whether it's from God or not. So if a book said, for example, God put a rainbow in the sky so that when He's about to destroy you by flood again, He looks at the cloud and He sees the rainbow and He says, now I remember not to destroy you. Would you believe that this book is from God, which says, God is reminded by a rainbow? You would say no. That doesn't reflect a God who is all knowledgeable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how relevant a rainbow is.
No, I'm just giving an example from a book which claims to be from God and says God remembers a covenant that He made long time ago when He sees the rainbow.
Yeah, but you take the God that you believe in, population of people believe in that in your God. Say, for example, it's 2 million people, for example. In the UK is, say, 60 million people. You're not suggesting that the other 58 million people should be abided by what the 2 million people...
No. Yeah. My suggestion is one of principle. Of course, you cannot implement what we believe to be the laws of God as Muslims here in this country, because the country is not ready yet. Maybe somewhere in the future, when the country itself, the people are themselves ready to accept it by their own self. In a Muslim populated country, if they decide to rule by the laws of God, you should have no question about it. Why? Because they think this is how they want to live their life. Right? Right. So, in principle, how should we govern our lives? by the laws of man or the laws of God? You would say, of course, if God exists, by the laws of God.
The laws of man.
The God who doesn't need a rainbow to remind himself.
It's the law. I mean, I believe it's the laws of the land which should trump everything, because basically that there is pretty much.
So if you were in Saudi Arabia or in Pakistan, where they try to implement Islam, you would say that's fine.
I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't.
So you're not agreeing with the laws of the land then? You cannot have both ways.
No. You take it. No, you take
Okay,
that-
explain. I take it back. Explain.
Right. If that's the laws of the land should trump, and that's it. Okay.
Good.
I may disagree with the laws of the land as you're talking about in Pakistan, but I still believe the laws of the land should trump. They should perhaps be changed. I believe they should be they should rule.
Fair enough.
That is the way-
Fair enough. But what we're saying is the laws of the land should be based on the laws of God. If God is all wise, His legislation. To give you an example.
Which God?
To give you an example. There is only one God. The God that is now known to us from the last messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we're talking about Islam. Yes. Now,
We don't accept that.
let me give you an example, right? In terms of how we ascertain something. Common sense prevails or not in democracy or socialism or different isms.
Communist.
You know, in health systems, you would expect we should have a system based on hygiene, cleanliness, and making sure that we don't have all these infections coming to us, right?
We're talking in the hospitals.
Hospitals, for example, right?
We were the first to create hospitals, you know,
Yeah.
my friend?
Yeah,
Christians.
okay, all right. Yeah, I mean,
When?
Christians.
When?
Christians.
When?
The first hospital in this country was St. Bartholomew's
When?
2,000 years ago.
Where was it?
It's down in Smithfield.
So if I go and study the history of Bartholomew, I can find out it was done by them. Interesting. Anyway, what I'm saying is, in the health system, if you go to hospitals, when you go to the toilets, right? It's a mundane example, but I need to bring this up because people do not really think, and they think they know it all, right? In the toilets, you have the toilet papers, right? So when you do your business, you are supposed to what? Wipe it and come, and you are reminded of all this bacteria. Wash your hands afterwards. So you've already, pulled your trousers up with your hands, which are pretty much dirty, because you haven't. And that when you wipe,
Muslims wipe their
wait,
hands.
slow down. It's important to understand this. You've already, left dirt in your body because by wiping. If somebody vomits on your hand and you wipe it with a tissue, does it all go away? Does the vomit, all of it, trace go away? If you wipe it with a tissue, the same tissue that are in the toilets. So if someone,
You might use a wet wipe.
wait, but you don't use a wet one in the toilets, do you? You don't, because there is no water there. Unless you what? Are you saying some people dip it in the toilet water because there is no water facilities inside?
What are you talking? I don't. It's me vomiting on you now.
Look, vomiting is food that is coming from your stomach, right? Right. Toilet feces also comes from your stomach, from the other end,
Okay.
right? So the difference is not much there. It comes from your body. It is all digested food, excrements, and so on. Now, so if vomit is on your hand and you use the same toilet paper and wipe it, do you think it's all gone? It's not all gone. It's still there.
Yeah, germ theory of disease.
Whatever theory you believe in, it's not clear. So, would you not have expected, excuse me, that the best thing is to wash it away? Islam teaches us that when you go to the call, responding to the call of nature, you wash. You wash. Excuse me.
It doesn't say germ theory of disease in the
What's
Quran.
what's your point?
Excuse me.
Talking about the laws of the land, right? That's where we're headed from, right?
No. There's something called common sense has not entered in our minds. It hasn't
Common sense.
been our common sense in the 21st century to understand the basics of hygiene, even in the health industry, in the health sector, that we do not even know how to clean yourself hygienically. Our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, taught us even how to clean ourselves. Why? Because that's a basic necessity in our life. You need to know how to do it. Some people question, why do you need religion for anything? Maybe go to a mosque and how to worship God, that's fine. No. Religion, these religious regulations and guidance is for all aspects of our life. If you think you don't need guidance from God, then you should be able to use your common sense. And the example I talked about, you should have applied it a long time ago. But people don't use their common sense. That's why sometimes, it's important to think back and saying, okay, what am I missing? God has been merciful to you.
What you're saying is that like the Muslim book, whatever, says you should go to the toilet the way you go to the toilet.
No, what I'm saying is Islam has taught us hygiene, even how to clean ourselves, even to the very basics of this.
Isn't that restricting better ideas?
Are you saying something, washing off your vomit, there's something better than that?
I don't get what you talk about, like the way I go to the toilet. Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
I am saying people need guidance.
Hygienic advice.
Their
Okay,
common
they could go to
sense
the
of
doctor.
making up laws for the people. You see, remember you talked about laws? People made up laws and you leave it to the experts. These experts don't even know the very basics of how to even clean themselves.
How do you know? How do you know?
Yeah? So if you subscribe to Islam, Islam gives you a package where it gives you the whole package of your own life, how to live your life properly.
Yeah, but
All of it.
But the Jews would say that Deuteronomy, the book of Deuteronomy, covers all that.
Yeah,
and that
it
was
does
probably
too.
The message that was given to Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, is the same God that has given the message to us, to Muslims. There is only one God, and this God has been giving the message of guidance throughout times.
You accept
So
it
during the time of Moses,
And how about the times?
Listen, my friend. during the time of Moses,
And
peace be
Neolithic
upon
man,
him,
Neolithic
it
man,
was
caveman, and Stone Age man. How about
mandatory for people to follow Moses for guidance and salvation. It was mandatory for people to follow Moses at his time.
How about cavemen?
One could make an argument, but you wouldn't accept this, that would be restrictive.
What's restrictive?
Well, telling you how to go and do something is restricting what you could, possible ways of
Telling you
innovating.
what's the best way.
Yeah, but,
What's the best way? Shouldn't you not take the best options?
yeah, but
Islam provides you the best alternatives of everything. Not even alternative, the best
He might have an
solutions.
opinion
the
for
best
that.
option for me may not be the best option for you.
This is where you can reflect and engage more in Islam and find out the Islamic principle it gives. Can you bring something better than that? For example, when I talk about economics, when we're talking about crime and punishment system, when we're talking about governance, politics, look into this and say, you have this Islamic model, and you have models from democracy and other things. Which is better?
Okay, all right, okay. Well then, okay. You take all the countries in the world which are Islamic, say for example.
They're not following Islamic.
Well, okay.
That's the problem.
Okay, so which ones are better like organised and run and
They are not following Islam in its entirety. That's why we don't see
Yeah, but
how it's supposed to be.
They're obviously running a closer model in those countries
No,
than they are here.
They are following the model where they mix the model of Islam and non-Islam,
But what I'm
and
saying
that's
is,
why
so
the
if
model
you-
doesn't work.
If I apply what you're saying is that the countries in the world where there's higher Muslim populations, they're obviously getting better guidance. There's more of them getting better guidance from your God. They're in total disarray compared to.
They are
countries
getting
which-
guidance from
hold on,
God,
hold on,
but-
let me finish. Total disarray compared to countries which don't even, like you take France, it's really like an atheist country. It's pretty well organised. I mean, there's got some issues. Don't get me wrong.
Compare Qatar with France and look at how the people in Qatar live, whether it's the socio-economics or everything, and just compare it when you go home and reflect on it.
Is Qatar Islamic
Yeah.
State?
No, there is no Islamic State. That's what I'm saying. People are not
Even
implementing.
Pakistan,
People are not
like,
implementing
it's
Islam in its
like-
entirety. When it was implemented
When?
in history for hundreds of years.
When?
For hundreds of years. I'm just telling you.
I mean, you
If you
have
look
to-
at
you
from
can-
when Prophet Muhammad SAW came, and this few hundred years of Islam was implemented, it was the golden peak of civilization
Can you
they can think of.
admit this? A lot of the countries where like the Muslim religion is like prominent, they're a bit of a mess.
Do you know why they're a bit of a mess?
No, but
Because
would you
they're
admit
following. No, I am admitting
Yeah.
wholeheartedly, Muslim countries are in a mess. Why? Because they're not following Islam. When they were following Islam, they were the pioneers of civilization. Because
Tell that to the Chinese.
wait.
No, I get
You cut me off in the middle.
I get what
There
you're saying.
were different civilizations. But when Islam came, they were the golden peaks of a civilization around the world. When Islam was in Spain,
Yes, that's agreed. That's agreed. That,
There you go.
We know about that, but that was the peak of that.
do you know why it was like this? Because they were implementing Islam, but now they're not. Now the West is running all Muslim countries.
Sorry.
All Muslim countries are run by puppet regimes, dictated and run by the West and the Western interests.
At some point in time.
Name me one country which is run by themselves.
At some point in time, people need to stand up and be counted. They need to be counted, stand up and be counted.
Look.
So you can't just
Let's
keep
talk about-
blaming, you can't just keep blaming everybody else.
No. We're not blaming everybody else. We're blaming ourselves. Right? What we're saying, think about Saudi Arabia, for example. Saudi Arabia, are they really following Islam? Who put them into the power? Monarchies, the system of monarchy.
A woman driving a car, is that okay or not?
This has nothing to do with Islam.
Is that okay?
No, hang on, this has nothing to do with Islam. This has nothing to do. No.
Why do you think
This
it
is
is okay to drive?
No, hang on, this has nothing to do with Islam. So,
Yeah, I think it's tonight.
look, do you know the crown prince that has come? Now he's saying he's opening up a resort somewhere in one of the islands where the Sharia, his Islamic Sharia, is not going to be applicable. So women can wear bikinis there. Look at the double standards.
Do you believe in this whole like sort of 50 virgin thing? Do you believe in that?
We believe in the rewards in heaven and the punishment system in hellfire. And we believe that God is just. We believe God is just and merciful. People,
50 virgin thing?
listen. We believe in what we call reward, right? Reward can be physical, reward could be spiritual. If people like eating food here, and you get some pleasure out of No.
Just tell me, do you believe in that
It's
or not?
important to understand the principle first. We say
Bullseye.
we say there are physical pleasures in paradise. If you have no problem with physical pleasures in this life, why do you want to devoid yourself having physical pleasures in the hereafter? What's the rationale?
What if you're gay?
What's the rationale?
The thing with it is, like, when
You can be fixed.
What?
Gays can be fixed.
I know, but say for
There's
example,
nothing wrong with me. Why do I need to be
I didn't
fixed?
say you're fixed. I don't say you're gay.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm gay.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with me.
No, that's something what we're saying is your opinion based, right? It's not how you've made, is it?
what's the point?
If you're made, you'd be in your genes. But the fact that we know from twin studies that it's not a genetic thing, it's an epigenetic. So you are not something made to be how you are. If somebody now wants to have a sexual relationship with a tree, it's not because it's in their genes to have a relationship like that. It's how they have chose their sexual lifestyle. You can choose a lifestyle the way you want. But what we're saying is, God did not make you like that.
Fuck God, then.
But he
I'm not
doesn't,
interested.
we don't believe
That's
it.
what I'm saying. You make your own desires your God. Quran already has taken into account people like yourself in the belief system that there are people who will take take their desires as their own God. When we die, where are we going to go? For you, it's the worm's going to come and eat me, and that's it. Do you really think that?
Yeah.
Long time dead.
Yeah.
When we're dead,
So,
we're
so when you're dead,
Only today.
no, when you're dead, is that the end of life?
Yes.
And how do you know that?
Well, how do you know it's not?
I'm asking you, how do you know that?
I accept that.
No, that's not accepting. How are you certain that's the truth?
It's good enough for me.
It's not about good enough. How are you certain?
Good enough for me.
No, how are you
Enjoy today.
certain?
For today.
So basically, you're not certain.
I'm positive. I'm saying
the thing
I
is, how are
don't
you gonna
care.
No.
I live
Look.
for today,
That's what I'm
not
saying is,
tomorrow.
you don't care is your belief system.
Yeah.
But that may not be the truth.
I'm an anarchist.
That may not be the truth, though. The truth is something independent of your whether you like it or not. That tree can exist independent of whether you like it or not.
I agree.
Good. So the hereafter,
And that tree
heaven
will
and
die
hell,
like me.
heaven and hell
But will it
is
go to heaven?
independent of what you like or not. So if you find yourself that once you die, that's not the end of it, you'll be too late, mate.
Too late for what?
Too late to say, oh, I haven't done what I'm supposed to do.
Which was?
Okay, what is the
Not
purpose?
PK.
Okay, what is the purpose of your life?
My country is the world. My religion is to do good. How's that?
What is the
Thomas
purpose?
Paine, English philosopher.
No, what is the
How's that?
purpose of your life?
Just told you. I'll
And
follow him.
who decided that purpose for you?
Free will.
No. If I say my purpose is to be nice to everyone, and somebody says my purpose is to kill everyone because I don't like people because of what happened to me, people can make up their purposes, but it's not a purpose that has been made by the one who created you.
So you're talking
So,
predestination.
so who created you and the universe?
You're talking predestination.
No, I'm asking you, simple, who created you and the universe?
The Big Bang. Who knows? Who cares?
It's not about who cares, who created it?
Well, which God do you want me to choose?
No, you have to be certain.
Well, which God?
It's not about which God. You cannot claim who cares, because who cares is actually being arrogant enough to say, I don't really want to know the answer. Who cares is being arrogant and stubborn at the same time, saying, I'm not interested in the answer. But if you are created for a purpose and you don't fulfill that purpose, when you confront yourself in reality after your death, you will have nothing to justify your belief.
And how about Neolithic
You will be in a
man?
mess.
How about Neolithic man?
No, you will be in a
When he
mess.
struck, didn't he? Were they Muslims?
Wait, slow down. Slow down.
350,000 years.
Wait.
Must have been like Homo erectus before that.
Look.
You know, we were-
So now you are now coming up with some support from these evolutionary models, right? That's what you're saying. Where did matter come from? Who created matter? Matter cannot create by itself. Imagine matter created by itself when it was nothing. When it was nothing, it created itself. It makes no sense. You are an intelligent person, and you should very well know that something cannot create itself while it was nothing. So this matter that is all around giving you pleasures, where did it come from?
Look at yours.
We say it was created, originated by a creator for a purpose. We just need to use our mind, our intellect, to
And our common sense, which you
seek
said.
common
So
sense.
those
Correct.
Neolithic men, will they all be in heaven then?
Hang
even though
on.
that was
These Neolithic men. What do you know about them? How do you know about them?
The fossils.
No. What you have is remains of certain teeth or a bone here and bone there.
So you don't believe in dinosaurs,
Slow-
basically? Dinosaurs didn't walk here.
Slow
that's what you're
down.
saying.
Dinosaurs or any other creation, these are creations of God. Human beings, in whatever form they were, in your belief in early system, creations of God. Every creation, God has created for a purpose. Human beings specifically, with the intellect and intelligence and rationality to make the distinction between right and wrong and truth and falsehood, has been created with a specific purpose to worship God, thank God, glorifying God, and acknowledge Him.
And when was that created? When did that happen?
Hundreds and thousands of years ago, perhaps.
So why doesn't Islam go right back then?
No,
or
Islam
any
was
religion
there
go
with the
right
first
back
man.
To the cavemen and so on and
No,
so
no,
forth?
you're again getting it caveman. Caveman,
Yeah.
how do you know what caveman did? You have to have some remnants of their
Well, we see
intellectual, good. So that means even if you have an individual which you think is like a caveman, they had the capacity to express themselves, meaning what? They had the intellect. If they had the intellect, they would have the guidance from God to worship God. Simple.
Do you think Islam was there from the stage
From the
of
first man.
caveman?
Islam was there with the first man. First man had Islam. And his progenies continued this message. People forget, and this message continued. Okay, what is Islam? Islam is
A man-made
that you.
kind of system for
That's what.
creating
That's
wealth,
the.
like every other bloody religion,
No.
creating wealth.
That's the problem you're thinking. You know what Islam gives you wealth? It tells you what. You know what? Be charitable. Give your surplus wealth to the poor. That's making money, right? Islam says do not take interest. Is that making money? Islam says if you have a land that you don't cultivate, the state takes it away from you and give it to someone who can use it and utilize it. And Islam says, look, you cannot exploit others in your business and transaction. Be just even if it's against you. That's making wealth.
Okay, so
You have really misunderstood my friend Islam. Perhaps, maybe, but
I'm gay.
look. You can be gay and still believe in God. Do you know why? Because this is your lifestyle choice, but you can still believe in God and say, this is something that God created me in this, maybe this inclination, and I will struggle to be the way God wants me to do. You can still believe in God. Being gay is not antithetical to being a believer in God. Do you see my point?
Encouraging, now, is it?
No. What I'm saying is, God has created human beings, but He has not created in our genes to be a murderer, a rapist, a person who likes to have, intimate relationship with a tree or a dog or another of the same species. God hasn't created like this. Human beings choose themselves, their lifestyle, because of their conditioning of the society, because of the conditioning of their bringing up, because of the conditioning of how they're being affected by the other members who are powerful and so on. That has changes people's attitude and behavior. So that's why I'm saying, if you study the twin studies, identical twin studies, you know what identical twins are? They have the same genetic makeup. One baby and another baby, same genes. If gay was in the genes, one pair of the twin, if he was gay, you would expect the other one should exhibit gayness, gay behavior. But we have,
Which is possible.
no, what I'm saying, no, you should expect both of them to be gay. But the reality is, we found these hundreds and thousands of twins being studied, and you don't have this, both of them gay. That demonstrates scientifically that it is not a genetic trait where it's in our genes to be gay, but what we call epigenetics.
A minute ago you were disputing science, now you're using it to support your arguments.
My friend, when was I disputing science?
You march under the crescent moon then. So basically, well, Islam marches under the crescent moon, yeah? Well, on their flag, you've got moons.
Listen.
So
this is
what's
where,
that about?
let me explain to you first of all. Islam doesn't worship a moon or the sun.
Why?
In the Quran.
Why have the moon on the flag?
I'm going to explain to you. In the Quran, just to lay down the scene first, it tells us very clearly in the Quran, do not worship the sun or the moon, but worship the one who created them both. Worship God who created them both. So don't worship anything of the creation.
Why on your flags, on your banners throughout Islam, did you have the moon, the crescent moon?
I am answering.
That's why
I am answering, right? There are many Muslim countries.
Yeah.
Are you saying all Muslim countries in their flag has a moon?
Well, many do, and it's quite
Wait. It's important to understand that.
Let's concentrate on the ones that do then.
No, it's important to understand. If moon is something that is something essential for us, then it should be in all of the flags. The fact that it's not, it tells you it's some people's choice to put a moon in the flag. It started.
For some reason that
Yes.
Muslims decide to put
Yes.
a moon
It
on the
started-
flag. I'm asking why should that be? Maybe
You've
for
asked
lifting a
me.
man in the moon, I don't know.
You've asked me 3 times already when I'm about to answer. Right. Thank you. It started with when, in early times, when Islam was expanding, the way when it's opening up new lands. So it didn't just destroy the places of worship as it opened the lands. For example, say Islam went to Egypt, and there were a lot of Coptic Christians. Did it just go and demolish all churches? No. What did the churches have? The churches had a cross, a crucifix. Okay? So how do you not demolish a building, but still make it a place of worship for the Muslims, but identify that it's not a church? You remove this cross and put something symbolic that they know that it is not a Christian place of worship. So
Why not a star? Why not a rainbow?
Listen.
Why a moon?
I am telling you, I'm not being patient enough. We go by our monthly calendars, by the lunar calendar. You know, England here, or everywhere in the world, they follow the Gregorian calendar, okay, which is based on the sun, movement of the sun, isn't it? The solar calendar. Islamic months, the system of counting months and days and years, is based on a lunar calendar. So they took the symbol of the moon to say, okay, this is the symbol that we're going to use when we go put places of our worship, so people know that this is an Islamic place of worship. They could have put a symbol of anything. You know what? Imagine they put a symbol of a heart. That would, and then some people later may still question, why they put a symbol of a heart? Why not a whatever, right? You can always question it.
It was the Ottomans who started it originally, and it was a decoration symbol, and it wasn't even considered a religious symbol until Westerners started saying, oh, Muslims have got crescents above their buildings, and then more and more buildings started having it when Westerners started looking at it as a symbol of Islam, as the crescent.
Yeah, the flag of Islam, unfortunately, has been robbed from the Muslims now. Do you know the flag that ISIS uses? ISIS. This terrorist group. No. You know what?
moon's on that,
No. There's no moon in it.
Or heart.
No. There's no moon. But what does it say? There is an Arabic writing says, La ilaha illallah. Wa la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. There is no God worthy of worship except Allah, and Muhammad is a messenger of God. That is the flag of Islam. That is the flag that early Muslims, when they went and conquered and opened up other land, that's the flag they used. No sun or moon or a heart, but this statement, La ilaha illallah. Okay? That is our flag. So when people put the moon thing like this, it's just initially, as my brother said rightly, the Ottomans endeavor to distinguish the places of worship, that this is not Christian or pagan, but the Muslims.
Okay, final thing then. In conclusion, the ultimate for you would be one world with one religion, i.e. your, alright? What I just say to you is tyranny. 2 religions in this world is civil war. 3+ religions, welcome to fucking merry England.
If you have a system where everyone opts and chooses...
It's tyranny. One religion, tyranny.
No, let
2
me...
religions, civil war. You see
let
Catholic Sunni Shia.
Let me show
More
you...
religions.
Let's understand logically.
Freedom.
Let's understand logically.
And I can be gay.
No, but let's understand logically, right?
Yeah.
If you have many people cooking each of their ideas, baking, it will be a mess. If you have one good baker who bakes for the Queen, that will be the beautiful and the most delicious cake. For example, listen.
It's tyranny, isn't it?
Listen. In terms of which works better, we're talking about governance of systems which encompasses our private life and our public life. How we interact with other people. How we see people who are gay, for example.
I love the diversity.
Look.
End up where you are.
Let's understand that. You have to have a system where it incorporates every people with their different mentalities. It has to cater for all of them. If you have a system where everyone's making out their law left, right, and center, one day you say, I believe in democracy, next day I believe in fascism, you'll be a chaos. But if you have a system where everyone says the best law, the best guidance, the best rule is the one who knows us best, is the creator, then you say, what's the problem?
So what's the problem? We'll end it at that.
Take care. Take care, man.
ويا هلا ويا هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا